Willie is cool. It's so cool because I had the chance to meet him as a young player during my young days in the league. I was probably 22, 23 when I first met him. And, you know, a lot of the viewers and the fans tuning in would know this, but when I was about 23, I started doing different appearances on behalf of the league. And essentially, Willie was named an NHL ambassador at that point. But I knew very well who he was. I knew very well what he had accomplished in breaking the color barrier and being the Jackie Robinson of our sport. And something that a lot of people don't know, and which Willie told me, he played in a baseball tournament, and he actually got to meet the great Jackie Robinson as a kid. So it's ironic that, you know, Jackie Robinson was such a hero to him because Willie played both baseball and hockey. And then Willie ended up breaking the color barrier himself in the NHL and then saw Jackie Robinson. He said Jackie Robinson remembered him as a kid. So if that's not full circle and you know, so powerful, I'm telling you. But in my times with Willie, and we spent a lot of time together before, and I was just kind of saying, I've been fortunate enough to be an ambassador for the league since I was actually playing in the league as a young guy up until right now. So that's brought us to different places on behalf of the league, be it Capitol Hill in Washington, speaking to congressmen, congresswomen, going to different youth rinks around the country for clinics and speaking to kids, the Fort DuPont program in Washington, D.C., and many others. And it's just awesome because for all that he accomplished on the ice, even though he didn't play in the NHL as long, he was the first one to do it. He was the tip of the spear, and then he played pro 22 years because he played in the old IHL. And he had a wonderful career. Everybody that I talked to raves about the type of player he was, the type of person he was. Obviously, I know the type of person he is, but through trying times, like through the most trying of times. But he talked about how great his teammates were, especially in Boston with the Bruins, and how helpful they were and how supportive they were of him, and how even then they were so inclusive and welcoming to him, which is an interesting little part of the story for him. But a lot of people wouldn't recognize, too, the fact that he lost sight in, I believe it's his right eye. But I always say, even though he was visually impaired, he's still a visionary. And he went on to play, and he played a long time, as I said, 22 years pro. And a lot of people don't know that he was visually impaired. I think he said he only told one of his siblings during his playing career. Nobody knew. So he was able to adjust to that, playing with one eye, actually, literally. And what an incredible testament to his character and his belief and also his conviction and fortitude and love of the game. Because this is something that a lot of people don't know. And we get into this a little bit as we go here. Sometimes it's hard to love the game when the game, for the wrong reasons, doesn't necessarily always love you back. And, you know, it's not like you might have had a bad year or you had a bad stretch or maybe it didn't work out with a certain team. It wasn't a fit. I mean, you know, you don't conveniently all of a sudden just change where you land on the color spectrum. That doesn't happen, you know? So for those of us who have been faced with that in our sport or in any sport, and more importantly in life, that's a needless challenge that nobody should have to have. And that's a big part of creating more of a level playing field so that you don't have to worry about that. Like you're not marginalized or you're not marginalized based on the fact that you're a black hockey player from Chicago, Illinois, or in my case from Scarborough and Toronto. It should never happen. So, but Willie has done so much, and he's loved the game back, and he loves the game. He's done amazing work, a champion of our sport for so many girls and boys in all of his community efforts through the league and beyond. He deserves everything that he's gotten, and he's a Hockey Hall of Famer, and congrats to him on that. And our game's a better place because of him.